Folks, thanks for joining us today. My name's John Dubas with Premier Marketing, and we'll be spending the next hour or so discussing some hints, tips, systems, whatever you want to call it, on planning for this coming year. You'll notice from the title of today's presentation that if we speak to 2021 OEP and Beyond, there'll be an emphasis on the Medicare arena, but this program could be applied to any insurance program and any of the programs that we offer here at Premier Marketing as well. Today's presentation has a lot of slides in it. We're going to go through a lot of them really quickly because they're images, but the presentation is being recorded, and everyone who RSVP'd to today's presentation will have a link to the recording of the presentation, a PDF of the slide deck, and information on some of the other things that we discussed today will be linked into the follow-up that will come to everybody by email as soon as the recording updates. You'll notice in the system that there is a section at that requests information on questions. Keep in mind, we want you to use that section. We have everyone muted, and we commonly answer many of the questions through the course of the presentation, but we will check periodically to make certain that we do so. We'll start out with a little bit of a level set when it comes to who is Premier Marketing for those who aren't as familiar with our organization. We are a national marketing organization founded in 1968. We're part of the Integrity Marketing Platform with offices across the country, serving as an insurance wholesaler, providing insurance products to the public through independent insurance agents and agencies such as you. And we do so through an arrangement that has contracts at the highest possible commission levels and recruiting contracts available to those who qualify. As I mentioned, being founded in 1968, we recently celebrated a milestone, and that's our 50th anniversary. And we consider that quite an accomplishment for an organization that started as a small family agency in rural Nebraska that's grown into one of the largest marketing companies, organizations of its type in our country. We do so through a full portfolio of insurance products that include the Medicare programs of Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, and standalone Part D prescription drug programs. But we also have a full portfolio of life insurance and annuity products, final expense life insurance and pre-need plans, long-term care, short-term care programs, disability income plans, and the ancillary benefits that cover such needs as dental, vision, hearing, critical illness, cancer, hospital indemnity. When you look at the Medicare Advantage portfolio, you'll see it's very large, has the national carriers in there and many of the regional carriers that can make a difference for you in your market. And that same philosophy carries over into the standalone Part D arena, where those national carriers and strong regionals are there for you through our organization. When you look at Medicare supplements, once again, a robust portfolio. We have specific programs designed to support this area of the Medicare arena as well. So watch for those in the emails that we send to you periodically. And when you look at the ancillary products, you see the leaders in each of the categories that were listed. We have also recently brought on a telehealth program through MD Live as well. So different ways of supporting some of the base programs that you have for the medical programs, but also a means for you to prospect in a different fashion, add additional revenue streams to your agency, and most importantly, serve the needs of your prospects and your clients. When we look at the Medicare opportunity overall, you don't come on a program like this without someone speaking to the silver tsunami, the aging of the baby boomers, 10,000 plus people a day, one every 10 seconds. But if you look at it just from an age perspective, you're missing a part of the market. And that's actually, you have to take into consideration, how do you deal with the folks that age into Medicare or are eligible for it and don't take advantage of all their benefits when they first become eligible. They may delay it for one reason or another. We're seeing an increasing number of people that we refer to as the working aged, turning 65. They're still working for an employer that may give them benefits. So you have some different things that come in to play where the total number of people in Medicare based on age is a smaller number than advertised, but then they don't always speak to the folks that are under the age of 65 and access Medicare benefits because of disability. and that's about 1/6 to 1/7 of the population. So it's a good chunk of people that more than make up for the people that don't access all their Medicare benefits when they're first eligible, because these folks really need the coverage, and a lot of it is due to pocket expenditures. They really can't afford a lot of the treatments that are out there that have made them disabled, and so we need to make certain that we have a portfolio that encompasses the needs of the entire market that we're pursuing. What segment of that market may be left to you, obviously, but if you look at the entire Medicare market, you've got 2/3 of the population that has more than 3 chronic conditions, so we need programs to address that. And we also need to help them with their budgeting, because the population does have some challenges to their income and to their assets, and the things that we can do to aid in that area. Taking advantage of programs that fit into a budget really helps the folks that we visit with, so we want to make certain that we do what is right for those folks, but also have the programs out there that can help us. This is especially crucial throughout the remainder of the year, when people's thoughts may be not on changing their programs, even though many do. And many of the folks that we deal with are the folks that are moving from one service area to another, are under the age of 65 and haven't been approached. But there's a ton of folks out there that really need our help based on their health and their monetary process, because everything's a choice. They don't have to do anything if they don't choose to. They don't even have to pick up or keep the optional Part B coverage. The vast majority of folks do, and then they'll look for some other coverages in most cases, many of them just deferring to picking up a standalone Part D program to help them with their medications. Or they may take the route and go with the modernized, standardized Medicare supplement programs that helps cover that shortfall in the medical arena. And it's a very good choice for a lot of people, and is a crucial part of our activity during the rest of the year if we choose to pursue it. Because many of the folks that opt into the Medicare Advantage or Part C programs may be of slightly lower income, and if we're targeting an audience based on income, obviously we may pull from both options that we have for the medical portion, or we may pull for one or the other and work our way across the bridge. But we have to realize that regardless of the choice that people make, we have options available to them because of what we have in our portfolio to address those needs. And what we're seeing when people first come into Medicare, they have a pretty even distribution when it comes to those two options, into Medicare Advantage or MedSup, and we see a portion that says original Medicare only. Those folks may be Medicare or Medicaid individuals that are good prospects for us when it comes to some of the extra benefits they may have dealing with the D-SNP population. And it may be people that have access through Veterans Administration. And there are some things that we can do for those folks as well. Creditable coverage, not an SEP, so we have to look for some certain things that come into play there. And then you have folks that throughout the course of the year, they may lose group coverage. That's another option, and that's part of the folks that are in that category. Because we do speak to the wonderful world of Medicare, sometimes the acronyms can kind of overcome us, and sometimes they become a part of our language to our prospects and clients, something we really need to look to avoid. We want to make certain they are understanding everything we speak of. But we have an acronym guide, a link to which will be supplied in the follow-up to make certain that you have access to what all these letters stand for. And remember that MICKEYMOUSE is still just a Disney acronym. Bad joke. So when we look at the topic for today specifically, a good place to start are realization of the different enrollment programs if we're placing an emphasis in the Medicare arena as to how to approach our plan for the rest of the year. We've been through the AEP. We've almost exhausted the non-renewal special election period, which very few people know of or use. And then we are rolling into OEP for the first 3 months of the year. It's interesting in the fact that the OEP is listed as an option for the people we serve, there are limits as to what we can do to market to it. So we need to look at some of the special election periods, as we do all through the year, as to how that can predicate who we pursue during this time of year. So knowing that people have the special election periods commonly based, most of them, we will see some things that we do more regularly, and includes the 5-star SEP and markets where the 5-star plans are available. And we've seen a shrinkage of 5 stars to 4.5 in many markets. But we also have a number of SEPs based on income and assets, and that's the set for the dual eligible, LIS eligible people and the MSP people. Notice I threw in a whole bunch of acronyms there. We're talking about the low income subsidy extra help programs and the Medicare savings plans, which are very common throughout the country. When we look at OEP itself, it's something that we need to be very aware of, but it's something that's not actually written as a pursuit with specific programs for it in our planning process. Because when you speak to the open enrollment period, yeah, it's the first 3 months of the year. This was restored back in 2019 for some of us that have been around for in the old days, pre-MIPA. Well, we didn't have to worry about this, obviously, because we didn't have to worry about enrollment codes. But this is a period that we would look at and help people determine whether or not they made the right choice during AEP. And that is, in many circumstances, a personal decision, but in some cases, people haven't even looked. But to the point of OEP itself, it is an option that is limited to certain people. And it's basically the folks that have MAPD plans now, because it gives them a one-time election period to make a change from one Medicare MAPD to a different MAPD. It gives them an opportunity to go from an MAPD to an MA-only plan, dropping the prescription coverage, and vice versa. The only way that this option will help someone get additional or get base prescription drug coverage is that switch from MA-only to MAPD, because the switch from an MA-only to a different MA-only plan still exists. Some people will want to pick up a prescription drug coverage based on, boy, they actually discovered something and some changes that are there. And then, of course, you can drop any of the MA programs, MAPD or MA, and go back to original Medicare and pick up a PDP program if that's in the best interest. There are certain stipulations that a beneficiary can use if they're enrolled in original Medicare. If they have original Medicare, they can't use the OEP period to switch to an MA plan. It's not an extension of open enrollment. And it doesn't apply to folks that have an MSA, the Medicare Savings Plan, or different type of Medicare health plan, such as a Medicare cost plan. They may have different things that we could look at in those regards. Keeping in mind, as I mentioned before, where Medicare supplements are an important part of planning, it may be not just because you're writing those plans, or it may be because these programs don't apply to lock-in. They have different stipulations in different states. There may be an anniversary clause, there may be a birthday clause that deal with guaranteed enrollment or guaranteed acceptance into the programs, the different Medicare supplement plans, but it is not a process where they have to deal with lock-in. They may have to go through underwriting, but they still got that option. And so we also have the folks that have just a PDP program, and they look at this as an opportunity to pick up the additional medical coverage. Keep in mind, you can't do that under OEP. There may be different SEPs that come into play, those special election periods. This period basically really limits what a broker can do when marketing these programs. We see some of the information programs out there from CMS and Medicare.gov and some of the carriers, like with Medicare Made Clear, that speak to OEP and educates people on that process. We as brokers can't do that. We've seen a couple of ads already talking about solicitation on Facebook primarily, that I've seen them, where the insurance company or insurance marketing organization, agency, whatever it happens to be, is speaking to OEP and the options that it gives a person to change. Technically, can't do that. So I guess everything's legal till you get caught, but that's one asking for it. So for someone who's looking at AEP now, brokers and agents can't engage in activities that use that time period as an opportunity for additional sales. So people who call or contact enrollees have made a new plan selection during the AEP, so they can't do it as to someone who shifted out of their book for this. You can't target marketing material that tries to illuminate who this personnel is. You can't send out unsolicited marketing material referencing this. So we're confident that that certain Facebook ad, or a number of them, may be a prelude to a spanking. What you can do with this is basically work the system as we always do with the other SEP programs that are available to them, or as you've seen a shift on some of the multiple television ads, they've gone away from a whole bunch of specifics on some of the programs to a more general approach, speaking to the options that a person has to change, the different set periods. OEP is not mentioned in any of them. So we still have that opportunity to do what we usually do and work with the people that are most common to new ideas, most commonly receptive, I should say, to new ideas and what they can do to get a change in coverage. And those are the agents, the movers, the people influenced by income and assets, LIS and MSP, low income subsidy, Medicare savings plans, and then, of course, the 5-star, which is a real mover in certain markets. The overall SEP chart, you'll notice as we go through these, a number of them that you may find familiar. They go from year to year. These are standard pieces that come into play, but you also have some additional steps based on weather. This guide, this Excel sheet will come to you because it lists those SEPs based on different weather circumstances, FEMA type of exemptions, that will come to you and lay out all the states that have such an opportunity and such a window for folks to address their needs because they've been affected by weather. You'll also see that what was commonly referred to as the COVID-19 SEP has expired mid-year, and the carriers are adamant that it is not going to be there ongoing. Of course, the old saying, some expression, and I'm finding it hard in my head right now to do it. It's just basically nothing is as uncertain as a sure thing. So we need to keep our eye out to see if that changes down the road, particularly with a new administration coming into play. It's important for us to look at these steps and realize how they can affect our business, because more than half the people on Medicare don't compare their coverages each and every year. So if we get a hold of an individual who's gone through AEP, hasn't done anything, does qualify for a special election period, and we do a review of their benefits, because the plans change in markets most years, and very much as importantly, so do the prescription drug coverages. As we go through and we illustrate those changes, it gives us an opportunity to talk to people who may be more open to a change. Because once again, it's over 50% of them that haven't, and then a lot of it is dealing with a population that doesn't have some of the access to the tools that are out there electronically, or haven't been contacted by an agent. As much as we feel that there's a lot of competition for these folks year over year, it's amazing the number of people that don't get contacted or respond to that outreach. As they go through the first of the year and they feel like they may have missed out on something, we see a greater array of people that, well, gee, I wish I knew how to take care of an analysis, and many of them don't, because about a third of the population, they don't understand the Medicare program, and in certain areas, that's even a larger percentage. So we need to look at certain segments of the market as well and concentrate on those if we choose to do more of a rifle shot approach to our marketing. And it's important to note that the majority of people on Medicare don't use Medicare.gov. Many of the marketing organizations, such as ourselves and many of you, contract with different comparison products that are out there. In our instance, the programs that are part of Medicare Center, that gives us a way of making certain that people have knowledge of the products that we're offering and the benefits that they would get by considering and enrolling in those programs should they be eligible. There's a number of reasons why some folks haven't done it, but part of it is, hey, it's an opportunity for us and we can really get out there and pursue it. So as we start the year, and it's pretty close, so you need to put a pencil to paper for this pretty quickly, and we consider just what is a goal. You know, what are we searching for? Realizing that setting expectations for ourselves and writing it down can be very, very influential in our success in the coming time period. And that's something that really helps us concentrate on our business by writing it down, setting specific numbers out there to do it. And in many circumstances, we'll see some pushback saying, well, I don't know how to categorize it. I don't know what to do with it. Go through and talk about that. What do you want to achieve in this business? You're looking for, obviously, the monetary portion of it, which can be very lucrative. Are you looking for that intrinsic reward, that internal satisfaction from helping people? And how do you envision yourself in 6 months? That's going to take you right into the point of time of this year where we start to look at planning for AEP for this coming year. And while those plans may not differentiate themselves very much from one or the other, there are certain opportunities during AEP that is more of a direct involvement that we really need to be aware of. And we have to consider, are we going to do that again this year, next year? Are we going to plan to do it 3-5 years from now? How's some of the legislation going to affect what we're going to do moving forward? Well, we can plan on what we know now, and that's what we're looking to do. And it's important to set those expectations where it's a realistic goal and a stretch goal to find out what our number is when we come to look at the different product sales based by segment or based by our sole concentration in one particular area. And a lot of that is predicated by the money we need to make to cover our bills, the monies we can expect to make out of setting those goals and how they would affect those bills. And then, of course, that stretch goal, looking at it, what kind of money would you like to make? And we're not cold-blooded enough to think that we got to make money above everything else, but it's a good parameter for us. It's a way to keep score, and it's a way for us to help accommodate not only our personal satisfaction in our work world, but dealing with our personal world in the avenue of taking care of our folks. Bear with me, I had a question pop up and I missed it earlier. And we'll get to that in just a moment. What we need to do is set SMART goals. And you hear this acronym all the time, where we need to have a specific goal for our overall program, specifics within it. We need to make certain that those are measurable and that we actually follow up on progress reports for ourselves as to whether or not it is truly attainable. Is it relevant to our business? Because there are certain goals you need to make also for your personal life. Are you exercising? You're scheduling that. Are you leaving time or devoting time to your family, which is so important? And are we doing it based on particular time frames? And we need to make certain that that is then a way for us to gauge our progress and how we need to adjust moving forward. One of the things that we'd ask you to do right now is take a quick pick or a quick look in that rearview mirror and realize that the past is the present. We need to deal with some of our recent experiences and see how they have either worked or didn't. And a lot of that comes with during this past AEP and since December 7th through the end of the year, have you had a plan? What in that plan, if you had one, worked? What didn't work? What was missing? Missed an R in that. Which carriers worked or are needed for the further progress of your plan? And this, what of that plan is still pertinent for the rest of the year, and what should or can be added at this point in time. And that is then a choice that you make as to portfolio as well, and how you work one program in conjunction with the other and do so compliantly. Because when you're setting that up, it's giving you the roadmap as to where you look to be. Yeah, the old story, C.S. Lewis, when he speaks to Alice and she falls in the hole and speaks to the cat, and I'm going to paraphrase this, it's basically, if you don't have a destination in mind, it doesn't matter what direction you take. And that can really put more mileage on your car and your life, and it's something that, quite frankly, we need to address and make certain that that plan is in place, because the whole expectation of this is to get in front of the buyers we need. So we need to analyze your personal situation. And this may be enhanced or compressed because of today's environment where so much is virtual. If you're working on a local basis, that limits a lot more of your prospect size, but it gives you an opportunity to reach into your target market and speak to other organizations that are serving your same population and work with them to deliver your joint messages. We'll get into that in detail in a moment. And then, of course, a lot of that approach is predicated on the products that you have as part of your portfolio. This may be a greater emphasis or a lesser emphasis on certain Medicare products, or it may be an addressing of the needs that were discovered during AEP that were basically pushed back because we wanted to make certain we addressed as much of the Medicare market as possible. So looking into some of the ancillary products, final expense and life insurance, a list of those programs that are not covered by Medicare, long-term care, dental, a lot of the things we talk about. I'll actually have a link in the follow-up for you for what is not covered by Medicare and suggestions as to how to cover it. It's also important to note we need to follow the rules. I'll refer back to that Facebook ad on OEP, not following the rules. It's okay now, he ain't been caught. When he gets caught, that might significantly impact his marketing, their marketing plan, her marketing plan moving forward. It's also important for us to note that if we deal with Medicare Advantage or PDP programs, we got the stuff set up beforehand, because they don't go back if you're still in process. We want to make certain that if you're contracting with a new carrier because of some of the feedback that you got during AEP, that you have your licensing and your contracting and your certifications in play. Critical that those certifications be done each and every year, obviously, and that as we add product, we take care of that before we offer that product to the public. It's also important then in that space of the industry that we're following the HIPAA requirements that dictate how and what we can say in certain circumstances in the Medicare world. That gives us then the opening and the realization that there are products outside of the MAPD or PDP world where we can market differently. And how do we put those into our marketing plan? It sucks. No lock-in, not bound by some of the regulations you see on MAPD, PDP, but in many circumstances, they bring up the question of drugs. So you got to watch that. Long-term care products, hey, you're not limited anytime. You have additional certifications, take care of some of that. We need to make certain that we address that need as it arises. And the old Columbo, did you ask that one question? About one more question? Final expense has to be a different sit down from the health insurance stuff, unless it was the original reason for the meeting, where you can then sign a scope and move forward. But it's a natural adjunct to the population that we visit with. So following the different rules for the different products are very important for us, and it's important to be motivated. We got that grizzly on the back of our electric bill where that needs to be satisfied. So staying in the race and staying up enthused for all of it is an important part, because if you think about it, the phone's not just going to ring if you don't do anything. It might be something with default by somebody who remembered you were in the business and said, hey, I need help with this. It may not be in the area you even service if you're dictating that kind of response. You're not going to get much one, because there's the old expression, immortalized by Pepe Le Pew and Penelope in the cartoons, you don't get kissed if you don't ask. Set yourself up for that opportunity to visit, and so work it backwards. If you're looking at a certain goal for income, we can do some things based on basic arithmetic, on standardized commission levels, plug in what are applicable for you in your contracts, and then work it backwards. So if you got a product that's $200 commission, pretty low based on some old renewal rates of MAPD plans, and you're looking for six-figure income, that tells us if you're starting out that first year, you're going to need at least 500 sales. Why do I say 500 sales? Because some of them will fall off. You got folks that will do the unimaginable and subject themselves to a celestial discharge. She will die on you. Then you got some folks that are going to be pulled off by a competitor, and some folks that have that second piece of buyer's remorse, and they use the trial period to go back to original Medicare. And you may have missed them. But if we have it based on just that minimum for easy math, and we go through and use a 10-5-2 formula where we need 50 leads a week to get to that, and we're dealing with a mailer that might have a 2% return, we have obviously a shortfall, even with a 2,000 a week mailer, where we get 40 leads. So we're going to look to fill in some of the basic shortfall of that in order to achieve our goal. We're going to need to work other sources of marketing to make it come into play. That may be internet. That may be some of the things that are basic for us in territory development if you have a target market and deal with providers and other centers of influence in the community to bring up that shortfall. You may be really good at referrals, and remembering how and when to do that can be very important to bring forth that number that you need. And you may have something else that's generating the leads, referrals perhaps from a partner in the insurance world that doesn't do Medicare, or a great center of influence that's kicking you leads on a regular basis. Things may be more than just this category. Obviously, a lot of those are referrals, but you may have a secret sauce that is generating leads for you. Take them into account. See how the math does for you. Sometimes it can be astonishingly beautiful, and sometimes it's a nightmare on Elm Street. So we got to make certain that we're covering what we need to do based on reasonable expectations. And when you look at that, it's important to review those sources time to time throughout the year. You may change influence on how you are dedicating your time to one reason for one program or another. And it gives you then some things that a lot of these are time-tried efforts of getting in front of folks. And so you're going to see some of that return tweaked a little bit because of the pandemic and because of social distancing. And that's something that may require us to, give it a little more time, or, dang, that ain't going to work. We need to shift gears into something else. And so some of these different pieces can come into play, and you may be able to use them for one product and not another. But utilizing an entire prospect pool gives you greater opportunity to get those leads you need each week to translate into appointments and sales each week to hit your annual goal. So one of the things that we look at in the little part of the world that, well, not little part of the world, an emphasis on the Medicare arena, well, look at some of the categories that fall into play there commonly. And there are agents that will concentrate on Medicare Advantage in lieu of MedSup and vice versa. I would strongly recommend that you be aware of and be able to address either of the principal means of covering the medical expenses, but that's up to you. I think you'll lose out if you don't. There is also then the life insurance component that many people work in this world. We have the great postseason game plan program through Legacy Safeguard that helps with final expense. The folks in the life insurance arena have different formulas and areas of attack for you as well. And that may be a session that includes hybrid life insurance that helps deal with some of the long-term care and short-term care opportunities. That's something that we need to discuss on down the road with the subject matter experts there. And then there are, of course, the ancillary products that are common with either of the base medical, so the dental, vision, hearing programs. There's also the programs that help with hospital indemnity or critical illness programs that really alleviate some of the financial pressures put on by non-medical expenses. Some folks, man, he's got a Plan F. He's been on Medicare for 5 years, so he still has the Plan F he had. He's going to continue that. We may look at other opportunities in the Plan F world for him, but what you're talking about with a hospital indemnity, that's for Medicare Advantage. Not necessarily. It's many times targeted on that daily hospital copay or per stay copay with Medicare Advantage, but a lot of that deals with taking care of that shortfall so you don't have to deal with non-medical expenses or having an additional pool of monies with whatever your base medical coverage is to take care of those programs. But this then gives us a layout that we can use to calculate that number, what we expect on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis to achieve our goals based on this spread of products. You also have an opportunity and a need to break down your month into at least the 4-week period and create that goal on a weekly basis. You can push back to a daily basis if you want to, but there are days that you concentrate perhaps on setting appointments, speaking to people telephonically that you haven't visited with before, as opposed to running a 14-appointment day or whatever it happens to be. We need to take that into account and realize that how that can affect our monthly goals as we go into the overall year program. Part of this too is predicated as to how good are you? Are you new in a product area where you're not as confident with your closing skills? Is that something that improves over time? Generally it does, particularly if you study and dedicate the time to it. And you'll see in many circumstances, having those same number of leads, well, as your closing ratio goes up, so is your need for additional leads to hit that particular goal. I'd always leave that as a little bit of a gotcha moment where I'm not adjusting my goals, particularly because my closing skills have improved over a short time period, but look at how that can then affect how many appointments you need because you're getting better. Or you're also not only being more proficient in the product that you have as your point presentation, but also the ability then to pivot to additional sales that may be available, even during that initial healthcare appointment. Because if you're in the Medicare world, I don't care if you're doing MedSups or MA, I'd send a scope of appointment because it gives you an entree into those other health products that you can discuss during that same appointment, but it also reminds them that you have a full portfolio and gives you the confidence to do that pivot point as well. So some things that can come into play there that can be really helpful for you, even in that first appointment. So it's not just closing skills, it's the ability to transfer that sales activity, that sales focus to another product. Some of us are faster than others. Some of us need to take into account windshield time, where some of the rest of us are virtual, which really spreads open your day, obviously. So we need to take that into account when we're planning the number of appointments and the closes and the translations that we have in order to reach the goals. Some of the things that can affect our daily activity, and this is one of the reasons why certain people will go captive because they have help with some of these areas, or they need to make certain that they're setting up separate protocol and different mechanisms that can help generate these leads. Because you're prospecting, you're setting the appointments, you're training, you're going through training and development, particularly if you're expanding your prospects options for other programs through you. Translation, have you added plans outside of your initial expertise for more sales and you need to learn about it? There's also, of course, the need to improve on each of the products that we have in the MA world too. Are there different health conditions that predicate a certain MedSup over another because you have medical underwriting? Are there different advancements or changes in the AMA program that you have, and that includes network information that you need to train yourself on and be comfortable with. You also then have to take into account that windshield time, the traveling. If you're working somewhat old school, and I don't mean to, not a means of denigration, it's just, hey, this is the way it is, and it's so affected by social distancing, even if you have the knowledge that you are an essential service and you can visit people, you still need to do it properly, but you're going to have more pushback from your prospects at this time than you have in other times to set the appointment. And that travel time also reduces the time that you have for some of this other activity. Because my gosh and my golly, texting or even calling on your cell phone, particularly in certain cities, is illegal. So we can't do some of it. And then, of course, if you're on the phone, you can't complete your paperwork either. So we need to plan for each of those activities, either on a weekly basis or a daily basis, as to how we allocate our time for that. And how do you do that? Do you hire help to help with some of the administration piece? Are they different problems that pop up that you see it becomes a fire you've got to put out? Generally, if you see a number of those, that's a trend that you can identify and indicates you need to do something in your presentation process to address those ahead of time. But we got to have our handle on the day, or the day's going to bite us. There's some things that we can do there. There are different tools that are coming out that can help you track. Do you have a CRM? Do you have a customer database? Our Medicare Center program provides one to our contracted agents at no cost to them. Some folks will choose to use a program that integrates like HubSpot, Marketo, Acton, a number of the different automated processing type of programs that help us with our communications. And the amount of time that does eliminate things for us, free up time for other activity, that might include even an automated system for cards. Sendmeacard.com. Get you some information on that if you're interested. But it's a great way to not only prospect, but also use those tools to keep our base strong, add to our persistency, our retention rates, and realize they come with a cost, but is that going to help our other activities, and is that a cost that you should outsource? For some folks, yes. Some folks, no. So the different things that we come through and we look at and we evaluate and use in our plans. Map out a little way of spending your day throughout the calendar. And it's important for us to allocate those times based on the areas that we're in. If the time travel in a live appointment is an hour because we're more rural, or we're going from one part of the metroplex or an urban setting to another and traffic has a factor, that is an important point to come into when it's time to set our appointments or our activity things, because it's a variable that eats up time but needs to be put into the schedule. If you're doing different activities, either on a live or a virtual, well, still live, a face-to-face or a virtual basis for those different activities that you may have done entirely face-to-face, such as seminars or visiting with providers or anything of that nature, centers of influence in the community, much of that can be transferred into a virtual experience, but it is also a different portion of our day that can eat into certain times, and we need to schedule it and make certain that we're looking to take care of those individuals. Then we got to hold ourselves accountable. For those of you that are married, you got an accountability boss in the same household, many circumstances. Or you may be part of a partnership where you need to do that in conjunction with your partner. Or if you're your own boss, how are you setting up different things there that can be translated over into an organization beyond a solo proprietary arrangement, where you need to have that legal protection for you in play? Have you set up that LLC, that limited liability corporation, that helps you separate your personal assets from your business assets, and maybe enable you to sell the business more easily in the future should it come to that as well? The most important point is, hey, we got to hold ourselves accountable, because that's your basic end boss. You may have made commitments to different companies or different organizations for different things, but it boils down to the person that holds the fire to your tuchus. That's you. And remember, everybody's got a plan until somebody gets hit. You need to be flexible, but you also need to give yourself the time in order to get the data that's necessary to see if those programs are working for you. Remember to constantly develop yourself, because it's going to help your closing, it's going to help your management skills, it's going to help your knowledge of the products that can help you sell multiple products. And that includes making certain that you attend the carrier trainings for your markets, because no matter how good we are, we still have to ask some of those same questions when it comes to the provider directory and that sort of thing in different parts of the country. And we go to the same sources that you do normally, the folks in that market with those people, with that carrier that can deliver that information succinctly and accurately. And then, of course, the retail website type of support, it's important for us that if we've done that, we make certain we satisfy all the requirements in order to maximize our return on that investment, and how that is a continuing activity throughout the year, and how we can incorporate that into our overall grassroots marketing through those centers of influence in our target market. And remember, a lot of that was done telephonically to start anyway. And many of these centers of influence have a way of reaching out to the population they serve electronically that you can piggyback on as well. It's really important for us to have our low-income subsidy and Medicare savings plans information available to us if we're particularly if we're working the Medicare Advantage world, but even if we're working Med-Sup, to see if there is an opportunity to change some of those folks. Because it's not just lock in, it's lock out. You're stuck. If it turns out to be a bad plan or not as good of a program for you and you need to change, we need to also make certain that all those electronic tools that we use, that we have, that we're proficient on, and we can use those to our advantage to sell more quickly and more accurately and more compliantly as well. You got to make certain if you've added all these additional carriers or looking to add additional carriers based on your AEP experience moving ahead, well, you satisfied the certification process for those as well, because it is per carrier. And once you do AHIP, if you've already done that, you can apply it to get through many of the modules. Carriers will ask you to do, obviously, well, it should be obviously, a product certification for their products as well. So be aware of all the obligations you have in order to take care of that. And you can get an idea, even if you've heard certain things about certain products in certain areas with certain segments, we've got some tools to help you identify those opportunities as well. Part of our Medicare Center programs is the CSG website, our tool that enables you to go in and price different Med-Sups. Great way for you to make certain that you have the most competitive, at least price-wise or based on other data in your portfolio to offer to the segment that's best served by a Med-Sup. And then some of that same detail when it comes to market share by Medicare Advantage programs are available for you there too. It then gives you an idea for each of those segments as to how you can deal with the competition in the area. If you're doing the Medicare Advantage programs, it gives you an idea of the penetration in that market by a certain carrier, and that may be based on their reputation, the benefits, length, tenure in that market, or it may not. It'll give you those ideas though. But with the Medicare Supplement tool, it not only tells you which programs you need to have in your portfolio, but it gives you an opportunity to offer that Medicare Supplement review, complimentary Medicare Supplement review to your prospects and your clients. You also then have the opportunity to use this tool to collect that scope, store it for that 10-year period, and do some cross-selling. There's a really neat cross-selling feature in here for Medicare Advantage plans. The person you visit with, well, this is my MA plan, I'm happy with it, I don't want to change. Well, let's use that as a base for a further analysis. And here's some hospital indemnity programs that are available to you to fill in that hospital indemnity, that hospital copay, daily or per period. Great way to sell. You also then have, and that's what that's referring to, access to the 2021 carrier benefits off of our website to help you identify what's necessary there. You can use that in conjunction with the CSG data that gives you the market intake for a particular carrier, or if it's new, what opportunity does that visit for us. And you do have Medicare trainings available for you from the government as well. It can be really, really helpful, and it's a source of a lot of generic presentations as well, where you have the PowerPoints, the slide decks, whatever the current term is for what we're looking at now. It gives you then the opportunity to learn more from those, but also take that learning and extend it to the folks that you're marketing to, particularly in those centers of influence. And you do have additional marketing material available from CMS. We've got a little presentation as to how you access this that will come to you as part of a follow-up, but it's also a way for you to go in and you can order up to 50 calendars per month free that you can use. They're all CMS logoed and you can't put your number on them or anything, but you can paperclip a business card to it as you give it out, or however you want to use that and other material available through this website. And the carriers are always awfully helpful in giving you some additional information as well. We see a great improvement on the multitude of carriers that are out there on their agent marketing sites to give you information that you can personalize with your data. Remember, in the old days, I used to get so frustrated by using some of this material, and all it had was a 1-800 number to corporate. You didn't know if your leads were going to you or someone else. You couldn't alter the document. So it was a little frustrating. What you're seeing now with the carriers is a way to personalize all that information, and you receive the information that solicits. You have, of course, now a ton of additional ways of using technology as well. Texting included, many of the programs that are out there that give you telephonic ways of visiting with people, and texting as well, to make certain that you are able to access people in the manner they want to be accessed. There's some folks that won't read an email. There's some folks that don't even access their email if you wanted them to. And then there are some folks, hey, I don't deal with a text. Email me so I have the full information. So you want to have options here as to how you can engage those folks on their preference as well. And you might consider creating and developing a personal website. There are programs out there where you can do this for nothing. It doesn't cost you anything other than the different pieces that are necessary to make it viable and productive, buying the URL site, doing different search engine optimization to drive people there. But what we're seeing with an increasing number of carriers also is they're creating a microsite for you for their business. And if you operate with more than one company, which most people do, it's nice to have a central collection point for all of those as well. So you can drive specific folks that want to enroll with one carrier through that carrier's microsite. You can do that information through Medicare Center to compare three organizations, three plans face-to-face compliantly. Or you can also put a ton of that information on a personal website and gives you the ability basically to set up a professional image and drive business with this tool. Because remember, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Not every program fits everybody, and we've got to be prepared to pivot. But have you ever thought in March of this past year, the world will be so changed? There are things that we can plan to do on a marketing basis that it doesn't matter if we're doing them virtually or in reality. Because if we have to do them virtually and we're utilizing a center of influence in the community, they're dealing with it too. They need our help. They're more open to it now, and they have the systems in play for most of them that make them comfortable doing things face-to-face or virtually. So we need to be prepared to pivot, because we're not only harvesting, we're planting seeds as well. So if we're dealing with the community, we don't want just a one-hit wonder per year. We want to be able to do things with those centers of influence at least once a quarter, and that's giving us the opportunity to plant seeds based on how we're harvesting now. As I mentioned before, we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. We're getting close to the top of the hour, so I need to talk a heck of a lot faster. But we're looking to incorporate many sources into an overall type of program, and we need to be, once again, cognizant of the fact that we may set it up one way or the other, and we may have to use the other presentation style. We're using much the same material, but we're going for, is it live or is it Memorex? Quote an old commercial. And we have to be comfortable with the fact that while we are adjusting to this new normal and a lot of this electronic process, so are the people who we're serving. And with them, we have a bit of an advantage because many of them are already familiar with these digitally savvy, necessary type of approaches, because that's how they're accessing their care in many circumstances, a telehealth visit, face-to-face with a number of docs that it's not telehealth, it's their regular provider, but they're doing that appointment virtually. Many of them like it even better than a face-to-face. And you're seeing where the carriers are really putting investments into different tools that can be helpful in that space too. So if you've got carriers that you're working with and you're not aware of the virtual tools that are available to you for that carrier, we need to make certain, one, that you know who your agent manager feet on the street is for that carrier, your contact for you in that market, and what are the tools that you need additional help with. And we help with you with accessing those, putting you in play with trainings to make them effective, doing it ourselves, that sort of thing. And it gives us then the option of using all these different tools, much as what we do with Medicare Center, where it gives them the opportunity to shop themselves, which many of the newer folks prefer to do, and then come to you with a refinement of those choices and the ability to enroll electronically, or however it takes. So going through those different avenues, once again, on what we need to consider: cold calling when it's compliant, big time med sup, dental, vision, hearing type of approaches, final expense approaches. Those community-based marketing programs that I've beat up already, well, live or Memorex, virtual or face-to-face, they're still the same categories that we need to consider as part of our program and how we approach those. That's part of the plan. And incorporating in the different carrier programs, because many of the large carriers, smaller regionals as well, will have their own community marketing force, and they need agents to help them with that. It's one of those things where it needs to be a symbiotic relationship. You can't just have been contracted with an organization, not done with them much for a couple of years, and expect them to really drop a dime, a whole bunch of money on you for these events if you're not willing to work for them as well. It can be easier for a new agent that may have an experience outside of that company in order to make certain that you have that carrier support. Social media has become so much more important than it has in the past, but many of us forget the referral value, what we can get by just asking for help in those circumstances, and the strong and steady traditional direct mail program. Because you can reach out and touch someone with Ma Bell if it's in an area where cold calling is approved. Some states don't allow it at all even. Some states have limits as to when you can do it, what times, and with what products. So it's important for us to bring in that compliance angle to make certain that we're doing things properly there as well. That's why some of us are very reluctant to use also sources outside the continental U.S., because if you're dealing with an MA carrier, they're going to want to know where you got that lead, how it was generated, how it was passed to you, how you approached it, and keep in mind, you're the one ultimately responsible for the compliant nature of that lead. So these carriers or these companies that are offering you telephonic leads, and they're not based in this country. Yeah, sometimes they're really successful, but if there's a challenge, they're not liable. Even if you have a list you're dialing off of, we want to make certain that it has been butted up against the do not call list, and we're doing that properly. And what you find a lot of times now is, gee, I'm calling on a compliant list. I'm not getting a lot of people to visit. I'm getting a lot of voicemails. Well, you're labeled going into most places now, and there's so much spoofing going on that your number may be blocked because some company spoofed it. So you're having some challenges there. You've got to have a really good, really quick message that you can leave on a voicemail in order to be maximizing your cold call activity. Once again, these centers of influence, guys, if you've been in a retail establishment like a Walmart or a Kroger or whatever else it happens to be, a CVS, that involvement didn't end on December 7th. Some of you carried on through the 15th for the under 65 market, but utilizing those contacts throughout the year can be invaluable. There are many of these organizations that want you in the store year-round. Maybe not with the same frequency that you've been through AEP, but it's important for us, or OEP for the under 65. But maintaining that relationship, visiting with that location at least once a quarter, once a month. Hey, you got somebody new to the area, or gee, are you seeing someone having challenges buying their prescriptions? That gives you an opportunity to work on a year-round basis for a center of influence that you've invested a ton of sweat equity. Strongly consider that. Same thing when it comes to working with providers. And these aren't just docs or specialists. These may be DME providers or the folks that do home health care, because many of the folks in those two latter categories don't know who's paying them. Is it Medicare or Medicaid? And if you can illuminate that process, you have someone then that could be a source of referrals for you, as opposed to someone you got to look out for that's going to try to pull your people off your books. So I mentioned those providers are much more than doctors, and as I failed to mention, the dentist. You have different programs set up, particularly with some of the carriers that are active in the DSNP space that concentrate on marketing through dentists. Utilize those programs. When you look at centers of influence, you can find different faith-based organizations through churchangel.com that allows you to reach out to those folks, because remember, during this whole time of social isolation, there were many things we could do that excluded going to church. And so many of the different faith-based organizations have set up virtual services. If they have that capability, that may be capability that you can use to present informational programs to that congregation as well. If you worked with a carrier throughout the year and you've done some business with them, you had activity during AEP, there may be leads available through those carriers as well. So it's important to stay in communication with the companies we work with as well in order to maximize our involvement and your lead flow from those organizations. Social media, hot terms. Really, there's a ton of different internet generator companies out there that'll sell you something or another. Some are more successful than others. We're in that group. You have Facebook opportunities for us for final expense and Medicare as well. We can get you additional details on those. And then, of course, the referral process. That's just not personal referrals. It's like, what clubs or community activities are you active in, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect or Ms. Prospect? Are you also then asking the centers of influence that you work with for referrals to other like organizations? And how are you asking for the referrals as well? Sometimes this is one of the most basic things. We don't ask. Remember that? You don't get kissed if you don't ask. Some of my most successful days were when I remembered to ask when I was setting up the appointment. Hey, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to visit with you at this time. I'd like to ask a favor of you. If you know of other people that could benefit from this information, have them online as well, if you're comfortable with that. Most folks are, because many times the people that you're asking to come on the line with you or be at the appointment with you, they may have questions you didn't think of. And it may be an opportunity for them to improve their situation as well. And you'd want to do that for your friends or family, won't you? So different things. Set it up front. Ask for different things throughout the year. Can you think of anybody that would benefit by this particular portion of the program? Keep that in mind. And then at the end, there are different techniques where someone will say, hey, I want you to get your address book. A lot of the folks still have address books and the age demographic that we deal with. Put my name and number in there. So you have my information in there if you run across someone who has a question about programs such as this. Or if you can think of it, go through that address book now and tell those folks about me. Get me some information about them. Keep in mind, I can't call them because I don't have permission to contact. It's part of the do not call list, but you can. You can give them a call and say, hey, here's my agent, Pete Smith. He did so much to help me. Give him a call, and he will help you too. I've gone long. I apologize. Direct mail is still a strong way of coordinating a regular marketing approach. We do help with the payment of those programs based on production. It makes it available for you at a very reduced price so you can do it consistently. Because remember, direct mail is kind of like your exercise program. You just do it once or twice, you feel the pain. You do it regularly, you see the results. We work through certain preferred lead vendors because they allow us to vet their programs. We are comfortable with how they operate, and it's a way to protect you compliantly as well. We do have different programs that are available to you as well for leads that have already come in, so you don't have to set up the whole campaign. You're buying a return. These aren't quite as fresh in some circumstances as a direct mail campaign of your own, but they are easier to get into based on price because there are a couple of different ways of doing this. Prices may vary according to supply throughout the year, but you can get in with people that have asked for information through direct mail sources, and you are the person delivering that. It's also important for us to remember to cross-sell because the more product you have in the house, the better your retention, your persistency is with all the programs you have in that house. They don't have to be with the same company. Studies have shown that. They just have to be with you. So it's a great way to serve all their needs or as many needs as we can and drive up our persistency across the board. That brings us back to that program in the CSG where you can cross-sell easily with Med Advantage programs or some of the other programs. And this is a live link or at least a way for you to access it as well. We will send you the recording to that presentation on cross-selling. One thing that you need to consider, and it's an important part of your life and who you are, and that's your volunteerism within the community. It's important for us to remember that there are many things that make up who we are. Includes our family, our faith, our work, but also our volunteering within the community. And depending upon the organization that you choose to volunteer with, ERP has a big program with this. There are different things you can do with nonprofits. It's important for you to note that you're volunteering for volunteering, but it gives you information as to different events they may have put on. It is something that makes you feel better about yourself as a person. Meals on Wheels, big thing. But some different things that can help you then that establishes your reputation in the community. You're coming to the forefront with particularly some of these nonprofits where it's like, hey, I'm with the American Heart Association. We need someone to staff a booth at this. You're going as an American Heart volunteer, but you may be then able to access some of the people that have requested the information they have. And they may have pamphlets and other things that you can use to help your own sales process. Establish the need for a critical illness plan based on heart attack, stroke. Great ways for you to incorporate the entire you into your marketing space. Some of the things we're going to do additionally to help you, and I'm sorry, I've got like 4 or 5 minutes left to go. We have a program available to you that enables you to establish an agent profile that gives you an opportunity to store all your information in there, like your answers to all the questions for the contracts, your information, things of that nature, where you can then select carriers and contract with them electronically. You've established your base information. You're clicking off one carrier at a time. Enables a quick way of contracting. Not all carriers participate in this, but the vast majority do. We also give you the opportunity to purchase discount errors and admissions coverage. This is available to qualified agents. What's a qualified agent? Well, you got a contract with us, one. But unlike adding you to a blanket E&O, which some other organizations offer, this is a program that you own that covers you regardless of who you're contracting through, and in many circumstances gives you a wider array of coverage based on what you need. It's hard to find some of the E&O coverage for variable products now, or they're really expensive. This is a way for you to do it all at once with whomever you contract with. We also have a program that helps you keep your license play with continuing education bundles through our association with WebCE. And there's a program that you can utilize to pick up individual non-cancelable DI insurance for yourself, disability income programs for yourself on a modified guarantee issue basis where you're sharing in the commission on that product. Much as where today's presentation is being recorded, past presentations have been as well. They're available 24/7 on our website at premiersmi.com and also on our YouTube channel. Great way for you to get other hints and marketing tips or specifics on program types or carrier information as well. All available for you 24/7. And of course, we do offer that electronic access to presentations, sales, collections of compliant material through Medicare Center. A single log-on site that gives you access to a free CRM and 3 different quoting and enrollment tools, powered by Connectures, Sunfire, and CSG. So a great way for you to consolidate a lot of those comparison tools where you can collect that electronic scope and store it and deliver the material they need in order to enroll. Just keep in mind, 2 of the 3 offer you a microsite as well. So we talked about having your own website. This gives you an opportunity to drive people to a site that's assigned to you where they can do some research and they can enroll themselves if they choose to do so, and you get credit for the sale. Many of the carriers do offer additional trips and incentives based on production. They can't do that with Medicare Advantage and PDP programs because the max compensation is set by the government, and it includes this type of information. But those carrier trips and incentives are a way for you to help evaluate the financial viability of some of the programs that you're offering, and they all help you get additional dollars from Premier as well, where we've morphed our producers convention from just a cruise or a destination of that nature, where you're able to translate it into dollars, up to $4,000 of additional monies from our organization. All said and done, all these programs and these planning techniques and everything that we can supply to you to help you be as much as you can be is because we want your business. We want to make certain that things that we've talked about are part of an overall marketing plan you have that carries through the entire year, and you're putting it in play as quickly and as efficiently as possible helps determine that success. So you can reach any of us at Premier at 1-800-365-8208 or through our website at premiersmi.com. Let me check on some questions really briefly and make certain we covered everything. Yes, we are providing you with a copy of the slides, and we realize that because of time constraints, someone may not be here for the entire presentation. That's why we send out the recording as well. So all that said and done, until we have the opportunity to speak with you again, we want to thank you for the investment of the time that you've given us today. We want to thank you for the business that we've shared throughout the year and in years prior. I look forward to much more joint activity and greater success in that area, and realize that our prime way of expressing our gratitude is to wish you good selling. That said, thank you all for coming aboard, and we'll talk with you very soon. Thanks. Thanks for coming on with us today. My name's John Dubas with Premier Marketing, and we'll be spending the next 45 minutes to an hour or so discussing one of the drivers of business, particularly now in the time period right after AEP, where we need to be re-examining some of our enrollments that have come through the docket and through our hard efforts. And then also, how are we going to fill our book for folks to talk to in 2021, part of the planning process? We have another webinar on that at the end of the month if you're interested. And then, of course, making certain that we utilize a organization who's known for their flexibility in working with agents, the tools that they have, the product that they have, and make it a part of our agency's revenue streams and flows and opportunities to reach out to people that we don't have with just working Medicare-based medical benefits, even though that where it may be what is our bread and butter. So we'll be spending some time in having our guests from Emeritus come on and visit with us about their programs. We do want you to note, however, that today's presentation is being recorded, and it, along with much of the information we referenced through the course of the presentation, will be sent as a follow-up to you by email. It's also important to note that, hey, the software package, since we have you all on mute right now, has a section in there for questions. Please put your questions in there as they occur to you. Keep in mind that we do commonly answer most of the questions through the course of the presentation, but we will check at 2 different points in time to make certain that they're all covered and that we get you the information that you need. As part of a level set, let's start with a little bit of information about Premier Marketing. Many of you are very familiar with us, but for those of you who might need a refresher or a little bit of a, hey, who are you? We're a national marketing organization founded in 1968 that's part of the Integrity Marketing Platform. We've got offices across the country, and we act as an insurance wholesaler, bringing insurance products to the public through independent insurance agents and agencies such as yourself. And those agents and agencies access these programs with contracts at the highest possible commission rates and have recruiting contracts available to those who qualify. As I mentioned, being founded in '68, that means we recently celebrated a milestone in our history, a proud accomplishment for what began as a small family agency in rural Nebraska that's become one of the largest marketing organizations of its type in the country in the Medicare space and working with ancillary products. We do so through a full portfolio of insurance programs, including the base medical coverages for Medicare in Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement plans and the standalone Part D programs. We also offer a full portfolio of life insurance and final expense products, annuity programs, pre-need plans. We also offer long and short-term care programs and disability income, and a selection of ancillary benefits that offer you access for dental, vision, and hearing, critical illness and cancer plans, hospital indemnity, and accident programs. That Medicare Advantage portfolio is very large and robust. It's available to you. The national carriers are there, along with some of the strong regionals that make a difference for you in your market. And that same philosophy carries over into the standalone prescription drug programs, the PDP plans, where those are available to you through our organization as well. When you speak of Medicare supplements as the other main option for medical coverage for the population, we have a very large and robust selection there for you, along with select marketing programs that help you be successful in that space as well. When we look at the ancillary programs in each of the categories, you've got the leaders there for you in those areas, and we've recently introduced a telehealth benefit with MD Live. So the base coverages, you'll look at these and you'll see that our guest speakers for today have the dental, vision, and hearing programs that are so crucial to our success in this space. And we wanted to make certain that you realize some of the things that come with affiliation with that organization, that carrier, through our organization. Because when we look at the Medicare market specifically, since that's where most of us will dive into. Some of us will have some under 65 business as well. We understand that. But Medicare opportunities are well defined. It's a program like ours or different insurance carriers. When they speak of the aging of the baby boomers, you hear of the silver tsunami, 10,000 people a day, one every 10 seconds, whatever it takes. But if you looked at Medicare based just on the burgeoning numbers of people turning 65, you're not looking at entirely an accurate number, because there's a good portion of those folks, about 10 to 12% at least, with an increasing number now with some of the economic pressures put on people, where they're not accessing all their Medicare benefits immediately when they turn 65. Some of them will delay for one reason or another. But we have a population that many people overlook, and that's a 1/6 to 1/7 percentage of the Medicare population of 63 million plus, whatever it happens to be, with whatever organization you're looking at that's counting it. You have that under 65 population that are on Medicare and are eligible for programs that help them with their dental, vision, hearing needs. So a good additional market for us to look at. And thankfully, the under 65 population, if they're on Medicare, they also have other factors helping pay for part of that, and they may have a real need for these programs to help them budget, as do folks that aren't on Medicare at all, because these programs are offered to people under the age of 65. However, we most commonly run across a population that needs our help in the Medicare space because of what's going on with their body and what's not going on with their wallet and bank accounts. Different people that need help with these expenses that are covered to one degree or another with dental, vision, hearing programs. And when we look at how the Medicare population is dealing with their base medical, you're getting pretty even split between Medicare Advantage and MedSup. And some folks that show still on original Medicare, we need to realize that this covers this whole gambit, no matter what their base coverages are. Because whatever choice they make, and when they come into Medicare, what they add on the base programs with B and D, or a standardized, modernized MedSup, or a Medicare Advantage plan, in each of those areas, help with dental, vision, hearing expenses are crucial and are a known need for that population. And since we are dealing with a population that works with their own language to a degree, part of the follow-up you'll see for today's presentation will be to acronym guides that will help you translate some of those alphabet soup things that are coming at you. It's also nice to know that the population, as it ages in or receives Medicare, we're seeing an increased savvy with digital devices, and health plans are helping us with the population to address the fact that sometimes we can't see folks face to face. Meritas has some really cool programs to help you with that, and it enables us to do our job no matter what the outside environmental influences, we'll put it that way, are, and helps us because we can pivot from a in-person to a virtual presentation with greater numbers of security of the folks that we reach out to because they're used to it. And a whole bunch of them right now are really used to it because of the telehealth visits that they have for medical care. When we look at the dental market overall, we see that most folks, when they go on Medicare, don't have dental coverages, and many have needed care and that they're foregoing because of it, because they have good intentions. 76% they're going to see the dentist in the next year. 42% actually do so. And the biggest reason they don't is the cost. So we help eliminate that distraction because those base coverages that Medicare does offer don't go into the needs of a lot of what our folks are looking for. And even if they have dental coverage by being a member of a Medicare Advantage plan, well, it's not enough. And even if they're on a Medicaid, Medicare program, it's not enough in many circumstances because nearly 1 in 5 of the beneficiaries who use dental services spent more than $1,000. And that's a pretty common amount of dental coverage in Medicare Advantage plans. Some of them have really goosed that coverage going into 2021, but we run across the folks that need our help because they are utilizing care and may not have the dollars to cover it. And dental goes beyond just taking care of the mouth. It does a whole bunch of different things in identifying other needs for their medical services. Their challenges with some of their health are identified through these other visits, through a dentist or an audiologist or a ophthalmologist or optometrist. They're seeing some of the things that folks are discovering through these benefits rather than through their primary means of healthcare with their doctor or specialist. We also see that you can use a number of tools by Medicare to help lead into this discussion. We're all familiar with the scope of appointment, and when you look at the most commonly used generic scope of appointment, what's one of the main categories that are listed there? Dental, vision, hearing. Marking each of these categories to do a thorough review walks you into a conversation about this product, and you're reinforced by the Medicare and You book. Ooh, I needed to replace that picture because we have 2021. But on page 49, what's covered, it says what's not covered as well, and that's most of the dental services. And regardless of what their base coverages are, if it's MedSup or MA, they need help in this area. The most effective way of bringing up the conversation, well, it's the chief attribute of my buddy, Pepe Le Pew. You never get kissed if you don't ask. So ask. That's a big thing because it helps with your retention across the board. Studies have shown that the more policies you have in the house, the better your retention on each of those programs are. And they don't even have to be programs from the same company. Having them with the same agent, which is you, is what drives that retention. And asking about these programs differentiates you from the competition. It gives you an additional revenue stream. You can look at some of the base commissions on these products, and that little bit of production each and every week makes a huge difference as to the monies coming to you and your organization, your agency. But the most important reason you ask, the clients need that coverage. So when we go through and we talk about how you can drive your growth throughout the year through dental programs with Emeritus, we have a guest speaker with us today. And Mr. Taylor Davis has actually designated a substitute for today. He had another obligation. And we have with us Chad Canisi coming in to visit with us about the programs and giving us additional information on how Emeritus can really be a driver of your business and a helper for you in your day-to-day operations. So at this point in time, I'm going to turn the control of the helm over to Chad. And there you go, Chad. I still got my ugly picture and Taylor's, and not yours. My apologies. But it's up to you, sir.
All right, great. Well, first order of business, John, thank you very much. Appreciate it and appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
All right, great. And I think you're seeing my screen, which should be Emeritus Prime Star Individual Dental and Vision.
That's correct.
Good. All right, excellent. All right, well, step one accomplished. So again, thank you very much, everyone in attendance here, and appreciate the opportunity to come and present on behalf of Emeritus. So with some of the time today, John, you did such a great job, I think, of already covering, why dental. That's some of our presentation as well. And as you might expect, we're very much on the same page as the need and the importance of dental and vision for clients as well as including in your portfolio. So we'll cover that. We will cover the product specific. We want to talk about why Emeritus, what sets us apart. That's not just the product, but it's also our network. So we'll touch and focus a bit on that, as well as the enrollment, how easy it can be to incorporate dental and vision as either a seen or an unseen sale with your clients. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and try to advance my screen here, and hopefully everybody now sees this. And you're probably wondering why Blockbuster. We've got that up here on your screen as we talk about why dental and vision. And I like the Blockbuster example because, for one, I don't think it's aged out quite yet. I think most of us can remember Blockbuster. It doesn't seem like long ago you could see one on just about every street corner. In fact, Blockbuster at one point in time had more than 9,000 locations worldwide. They employed 84,000 people. And it feels like just like that, they disappeared. And a lot of studies have kind of popped up on what happened. What did Blockbuster do? Maybe more importantly, what did they not do? And in almost every example, it comes back. They really just didn't consider a competitive market. They didn't offer a full comprehensive service to their clients. They failed to be that one-stop shop. And as a result, they just didn't stay relevant. So we kind of think, in a way, dental and vision is some of that same opportunity. It's a way for you to stay relevant. It's a way for you to stay in front of your clients and offer them a product, again, that they need and want. Whenever we look at that senior population, John, I know you already showed us some of the stats, but a couple more here for everyone. But, this is a growing market. It's a growing opportunity, specifically when we look at the senior population. You can see here, and basically this is a study from CSG Actuarial, but if we look to 2020, there are some almost, we'll call it 60 million seniors. But this bottom line represents seniors without dental coverage. So it's a massive market. It's a huge opportunity. There's some 30 million people, 30 plus million people in 2020 alone that don't have dental. So again, it's a way to set yourself apart. You can lead with dental. You can come back and cross-sell other products, other opportunities. But for every one client that you know that doesn't have medical insurance, there are probably 3 without dental. So again, it's a way to kind of stand apart, stay in front of, and reach clients. And again, another way to kind of stay relative and competitive in your market. It adds value to your client's life. Again, I'm repeating some stuff, John, that I know you already mentioned, but it's not just about dental, but it's their overall health. The teeth and what more and more studies now find represents as your total body health. It's going to help you build referrals. We hear this time and time again. Just the opportunity to introduce yourself to more clients. It's going to help your reputation, and as John showed us also, it's going to help your persistency. The more clients you have with the product, the better that overall business will be. So bottom line, it's going to grow your business. It's going to help grow your commission. Now, why Emeritus? And we think there's a handful of reasons. Of course, we're a bit biased, but like to say it's our roots and our rating. We are an A-rated carrier. We're a mutual company. We're based in Lincoln, Nebraska. And Emeritus has history that dates back to the late 1800s. Now, Emeritus has been focused in the dental space for quite some time. We're not a carrier that does a lot of things and then just kind of throws the dental at it. Dental is at our heart. It's our primary focus and what we do. Again, we do have other products, but we believe in that mantra there up the top. Don't try to do everything, do one thing well. So I think you'll find in our product offering, it's all about creating economic value for your clients, about delivering product simplicity and that ease of enrollment, and create an extensive network that gives you and your clients more opportunity for savings and provider options. That experience, we're more than 30 years in senior dental. That's about 300 million in force. In the dental overall, we've been operating in this area for more than 60 years. So again, experience is a big part of it. And I think that's valuable because as this next slide shows, it's not just about, let me say it this way. We can draw a lot of information from that current client base. All of these clients that have dental policies with us, we learn a little something about them. What do they like? What do they not like? What do they use? And all of that helps us to kind of really focus and build better products, better enrollment options. And again, just improve our overall portfolio. Some other things that we find in our market research as we study more specifically the seniors, they have higher costs on key services due to higher frequencies. Some of this might be kind of a given, right? That seniors, they spend 2.5 times the amount on the average person on crowns, basically saying they're more likely to get crowns. Just as the next line shows, they're 4 times the amount on dentures. So again, older you get, the more likely you are that you got dentures. That makes sense. But the bottom one, I think, is really telling and maybe a bit surprising, but it's also preventative costs. These are needs similar to non-retirees. It means that seniors are just as focused and want those preventative services as much as they do anything else. They just want to take care of what they got. And maybe that's not surprising because, like any appliance, the older it gets, the more it's going to break down. Our teeth and our eyesight are no different. So again, seniors want to protect what they've got. They want to get into the dentist each and every year, a couple times a year for those cleanings, the exams, and just protect their teeth and their overall health. So that's something I think really important to consider whenever we talk about the plan and you talk about offering product to your clients. Now, I think another, I should say, great thing about Emeritus, we've got nationwide coverage. You're looking at a map here, and I'll just go ahead and mention we have product available in all 50 states. Now, there are some state variations. You notice a couple gray states there on your screen. That's just a different product that is approved. So if you're joining from one of those areas, we've got you covered. There is product available. It just looks a little different from what we'll talk about here today. Those blue states on your screen, it's just a state-specific version. It's still kind of the same base plan, just a few modifications. But the majority of states out here in the green, this is kind of our standard kind of shelf product. It's the Prime Star Protect. Now, we do offer a few versions of this. You'll notice there's Prime Star Protect as well as a network version. Either product allows you to go in or out of network for benefits, and we'll highlight that feature here in a bit. But again, just remember that if you're joining in here today, we do have product approved in all 50 states. Now, our primary product, if you will, it's the Prime Star Protect. And you can see here on your screen, plan details to the left, plan benefit to the right. And under those plan details, we start with preventative services. These are those type 1 benefits. These are the exams to a year, cleanings to a year, x-rays, fluoride, and sealants for your younger ages. Now, one important thing to note, and if maybe one thing you remember here about Emeritus today, it's the right-hand side. It's the plan benefits. Day 1 benefits. There are no waiting periods, whether that's preventative, basic, or major services. You can enroll today for coverage starting tomorrow. And if it's preventative, that's 100%. That means you can talk to a client today, you can get them enrolled, they can see a dentist next week, and they're 100% covered for those preventive services. That's a great opportunity. That's a great product feature. And it also extends to the basic services. These are your type 2, things like fillings, simple extractions. Also, day 1 benefit, that benefit begins at 65%. And then the product does get better over time. So year 2 of the policy, that benefit, that percentage, that coinsurance jumps up to 80%. Major services, these are your type 3, implants, root canals, periodontics, crowns. Important to note here, dentures, also day 1 benefit. And they start at 20%. Once again, this will bump up to that 50% in the second year of the policy. So again, better over time, more coverage, more benefit, more value for your client. But again, really important to remember here, day 1 benefits. So you can enroll a client today, they can see a provider tomorrow, and even if it's something like a crown, can get up to 20% coverage for that service. The policy does include orthodontics. It's 15% day 1, jumps to 50 after the second year. And it does have the lifetime maximum there, as you see it, $1,000 per child. The benefit year deductible, This is per person. It's for basic and major services combined. Does not apply to your preventive, but it's a maximum of 3 deductibles per family. It's currently $50. I should also state that we are currently waiving this through the end of the year. We started this back in the summer, but if you are still enrolling clients, they're getting into the dentist anytime yet this year, we're waiving those deductibles as part of our COVID relief kind of policy, if you will. But normally this is a $50 deductible. And then as the bottom line there shows, the benefit year maximum. This is either $1,000 or $2,000. This is kind of the one variable you choose with your client, or they choose kind of at checkout, if you will. Do they want $1,000 or a $2,000 max benefit? $1,000, of course, a little less comprehensive as far as the coverage, but also a little less expensive plan. $2,000, that is per policy year, and it is per client, per person. It applies for the preventive, basic, and major services combined. So $1,000 or $2,000. Now, we looked at the product. It's a major part, and we'll be back to review some of it. But along with product, it's not just having, I should say, a good product. It's having a good product with a good network. And again, this is where we're happy to say we've got both. The network allows your clients to save money. Now, it's not required that they see them, but there's value when they do it. An example, the Ameris Dental Network, we pay claims at the network negotiated rate, or a MAC. That's a maximum allowable charge. So that means if you go to see this dentist for this service, there's this much they can charge you. It's kind of a negotiated rate up front, which will save your clients money. On average, when using one of our network providers, it's anywhere from 25 to 50% savings with that negotiated rate. So that's significant. And that's even before we look at the product itself and some of the savings and the co-insurance that would apply. Now, remember, you don't have to see a network provider. You can see any dentist. You've got a dentist that you've loved, you've seen for years, you want to go to them, they're not in our network, okay. There's opportunities to maybe have them included. But you can see that dentist, and we will still pay claim. We pay it at the 80th UNC, or usual and customary. That basically says that we'll pay claim at what 8 out of 10 dentists charge in this area for this service. Now, a great way to get that checked out, fairhealthconsumer.org. That's a website you can see right there underneath it. It's a third-party site, and it lets you do just that. It's a really cool site that lets you go in and say, I'm in this zip code. I'm going to see this dentist for this service. And what can I expect? And it'll kind of break that down for you as far as what might be the 80th usual and customary charge. Now, other values of the network. It's lower premium with the network product, and again, expectation that you are going to, more of an expectation, I should say, that you're going to see a network provider. But there's those contracted fees. There's that MAC, that maximum allowable charge for the services. But it also is just a better overall consumer experience. There's no balance billing. There's no claim forms. So that just makes for a happier client anytime they visit a dentist, right? Again, you can enroll them today. They can go tomorrow. They're going to show up at the front desk. They're going to give them their name. They're going to recognize them in the system. And again, just a really pleasant, as pleasant, I guess, a trip to the dentist can be whenever they go. So again, great customer experience. And in addition to it, we continue to grow that network. Just in this last year alone, we've grown our access points by more than 70,000. So currently we sit at about 557,000 access points across the country. Now, an access point is considered the brick and mortar. That's kind of where you might go for dental service, like a village dentist, gentle dentist. Can't get those words out, but again, it might be that physical location that houses a multiple of providers. Whenever we look at the belly buttons, if you will, the unique providers, the individual dentists, about 127,000. And I've heard a number that there are maybe a little over, I think 200,000 dentists across the country. So whenever you look at that total number, we've got a large percentage already covered, and that means opportunity. That if your client wants to see a network provider, good chance there's going to be one in or around the area for them, which will add, again, significant savings to them. Here's an example of that, some of the economic value for the client. And on average, a senior spends a little over $1,100 on dental care per year, $1,154. Now, you see here on the screen, cleaning, filling, crown, it shows you the usual rate and then a network rate. So if we just look at those two for a moment, the left-hand side of the screen, and we're going to jump down to a crown. And if you remember back to our plan detail, that's considered a major service. So as we look at the crown, and we're going to look at some of the savings. Advanced a little bit too far. So that crown is $1,337 usual rate. Somebody just kind of walking in off the street needs a crown. It's going to cost them a little over $1,300. Now the network rate, this would be that MAC, that maximum allowable charge that we've negotiated with our provider. That's $819. That's some of that savings that we talked about, that 25 to 50%. So right out of the gate, we've knocked down the cost for that service from $1,300 to around $800. Now remember, major service, that means we're going to cover at 20% inside of the first year. So day one cost to the client is $655, or savings of about 51%. So that's $682 in savings right out of the gate. Remember, you can enroll them today. They can go in next week, and they could be covered for some of those services. Now, also remember that year two got better on the policy because the coinsurance jumped from 20 to 50%. So more savings for the client. In fact, $972 in savings and almost 70%. So that's significant, and those are real life examples and services that clients need and, again, use. So what are some ways to incorporate dental and vision with Medicare? John's already kind of mentioned a number of these, so it'll be a little bit of repeat, but, you know, we ask the questions, you know, how do you do it? How do you incorporate? How do you bring up dental with your clients? And it goes without saying, sometimes it is just the simple of things, right? I just ask, you know, do you currently have dental insurance? I just bring it up with every client that I talk to, because 71% of people plan on purchasing a dental plan upon retirement. Another question, how do you plan on paying for your dental expenses when you retire? We mentioned it, but the average senior spends a little over $1,100 in dental expense. Emeritus, the average discount on senior claims is at 32%. So again, real savings. And then, did you know traditional Medicare does not cover most dental? And at Emeritus, we offer standalone dental and vision to help fill some of the gaps in traditional Medicare. This includes next day effective dates and no waiting periods. Also important to note here, we like to remind everyone that we do not coordinate benefits. So if you do have another product or another policy or whatever it might be that offers some dental benefit, again, we treat everything submitted to us as a primary claim. So again, no coordination of benefits. Other ways to incorporate, John, I know you mentioned this one as well, but it's the scope of appointment, the Medicare and You Guidebook. Let compliance be your friend and bring up what's not covered. You know, page 49, dental, denture, and vision, and all products that you can use and pick up from Emeritus. Now, we do have those vision products, and they are on a standalone basis. So you can purchase from Emeritus, or you and your client, dental by itself, vision by itself, or you can kind of bundle the two, if you will, as you or your client checks out with us. Now, there's two different vision products that we offer. And the big differences between the two come down to the provider. There's IMED and there's VSP. So right there, we cover a large part of the market with these two partners. And before we move on, I guess, mention here too, why vision? And I think that's really similar to why dental, right? It's just about your overall health. I'm willing to bet, especially in the senior market, most of your clients have glasses. Most probably lose their glasses. I know I'm already in that boat, picking up a pair or two every year, it feels like. So why vision? Because we see the eye doctor. We need to for all of these things on the screens. Just difficulty with day-to-day life. The older we get, and the more our vision is strained. So vision is just an equal and as important part to the overall health as are the teeth. And with our Prime Star Choice, this is the partner with VSP. This is the Choice Vision. And you'll notice here that VSP, the network retailers, some really common names here: Costco, Iconic, VisionWorks, and Walmart. So a lot of times whenever we're talking about the vision, which product do you choose? I think a lot of times we'll just kind of ask, well, which retailer do you visit? I go to Costco for, my exams, my glasses. Okay, great. Then maybe the Prime Star Choice Vision is your best option. Now, if you go to IMED, some of the notable partners include LensCrafters, Contacts Direct, Pearl Vision, Optical, and Glasses.com. So again, this might be where maybe IMED dictates, who you use or where you go there. And the products are somewhat similar, and we'll look at that Prime Star Select product as the example here. But an eye exam, again, we have both in and out of network allowances. The eye exam is just $25 for in-network. Contact lens exam and fitting is just $15. And then you get allowances for frames as well as contacts, up to $130. And still allowance even if you are going out of network. But again, your ability to choose here between our two providers. Now, the monthly rates you'll see here, very affordable. Policyholder is $10.60. Policyholder plus a dependent jumps up to $19.63. There's a couple state modifications there: Florida, Minnesota, Mississippi. But outside of that, it's really straightforward pricing. There's no age banding, gender, anything like that. It just says you're in this state. Is it you or you independent or you and two or more dependents? Anything two or more, a family of five, our quote unquote family plan, if you will, would be the policyholder plus two or more dependents. And that rate is $29.34 for each individual. The benefit frequencies, the exam every 12 months, the eyeglasses, the lens contacts every 24, along with the frames. Now, the other, the Choice product, you'd see it very similar to this. I will point out a little bit more in the premium, about $16 or so, but some of those frequencies bump down to 12 months for the lenses and the frames. So it's kind of what you're getting in some of the frequency for just a little bit of tick up on the premium. But really straightforward, simple pricing for your clients. Now I'll pivot here, and I'm gonna share with everybody what the enrollment process looks like. This is one of my, I think, favorite parts of our product overview, because I mentioned this earlier. I don't think it's just about the product or the network. I think product, the network, and the ease of enrollment. And I love how easy this process can be. Everyone that appoints with Emeritus, we personalize a link. It's unique to you. Now, that link will then tie all business back to you as the writing agent. It's a systematic, straight-through processing, and it's all done electronically. So what that means, that you appoint today, you get an email from us shortly after that gives you your personalized link that you can use while sitting with a client to enroll them into the dental and vision, or you can even email that to a client, have them enroll themselves, or you can even post this link to your website, let clients check it out, kind of quote themselves, enroll themselves in many cases. So here's what that looks like. This is kind of an example of what your site looks like. You can see here, and I know some of this is maybe a little bit small print, but starts with some real basic questions. And we ask very minimal questions to get started. So the quote is where we begin. You put in the client zip code, step 1, the insurance needs, dental or vision, and then who's going to be covered. Is it policyholder plus dependent, or 2 or more? And next, we select the coverage start date. So is it tomorrow? I keep talking about next day benefit. And again, you can enroll a client for tomorrow. You can set that coverage start date. Or you can bump this thing out as much as 90 days for coverage. There's your agent information to the right. It'll be your phone number or address and the information you provide us. So from there, I click on See Plans. And now it pops up any and all of those options available to me based on the state. And you can see here we've got 4 on the screen. There's the Prime Star Protect Network. So this is the network version, which would be a little less on the premium, but again, assumes that you are going to stay inside a network, a little higher cost if you go out. That Prime Star Protect, the one that we talked about down there at the bottom, and once again, now your $1,000 or your $2,000 amounts that you get to elect from. So which product's right for you lets you kind of pick through, see some of the different benefits, the preventative, the co-insurance amounts, and then you just click on the plan that you like. In this case, the Prime Star Protect Network, there's the details, reminders, no waiting periods, no enrollment fees, $2,000 maximum. There's the premium, and I can go ahead and click purchase. There's the Prime Star Protect, similar, and premium down here at the bottom. But again, very similar reminders on some of the specifics of the plan. Whenever I'm ready and I've got the plan that I like, or you and your client have agreed upon, you just click the purchase button, and away you go. A few more pages where you input the client's information, the payment options, and the payment options can be bank draft, ACH. You can do even a credit card, so you've got that kind of flexibility. And remember, you can push this out as much as 90 days if you need to or choose to. But that's it. The enrollment process, it takes just minutes, probably 3 to 4 minutes to walk through all of that and get your client enrolled. Really simple, really straightforward. Now, another really important and popular question is, well, what about my dentist? Are they in or out of network? I should have highlighted this before I moved on. I'll try and bump back really quick. But you'll see it right here. Yeah, I should have just highlighted it for everybody. Okay, so right here before I moved on, you can see down at the bottom of the screen, it says Find a Dentist. So as I'm starting my quote process, maybe this is where I begin. Let's first find out, well, is my dentist in or out of network? So you can click on that button, and this would be the screen that pops up for you, the provider search. So from there, you can put in your address, your zip code, your location. It's even got some advanced filters for you if you want to try and narrow down or search a specific provider. But you just click on the search, and it's going to pop up any and all of the providers in our network. So we put in a Minnesota zip code, and up pops any and all of these dentists. Now, you can see here some of them are broken down by distance. You see one here, Sammy, he's in green. The others are in black. They're all in network. Now, the reason they're highlighted in green, or you might see someone in green, if you remember earlier, we said that a network provider might provide you as much as 25 to 50% savings. The green just says it's likely a bigger discount than everybody else. Maybe Sammy's a little bit closer to that 50 or a little higher percentage in discount than everybody else. But anybody you find here on the screen will be considered a network provider. And maybe that dictates a little bit of which way you want to go on the product. So that's a great tool, a great option, and a great way to search for some of the different dentists. Now, once you have enrolled, you and your client both get an email. That's your confirmation. You can wait on cards before they go out and they see the dentist. You don't need to, but in about, I think, 5, 7, maybe 10 days, you're going to get those cards in the mail for your dental and vision. But the email also confirms your approval and ready to go. That's it. So again, this is where, John, you mentioned it earlier, but the opportunity, I think this year especially, to stay relevant, to stay in front of clients, and to have a product where you can enroll and offer them these valuable products, either seen or unseen, I think has been great. And it's been some really great results for us. People still need to see the dentist. This isn't one of those, I think we're finding out, do-it-yourself things at home. It's not a home haircut. We need to see the dentist. People are trying to get back out, want to get back out, have been seeing their dentists on a frequent basis. And with this, you can email a client a link, you can paste it to your website. They can enroll themselves on a Sunday afternoon watching football and go in and see the dentist the next day. So it's that kind of flexible, it's that kind of ease, and a really great, valuable, I think, product. Just to kind of wrap that up, it also allows you to sell 12 months out of the year, not limited to any kind of a Medicare timeframe. It's going to help you develop more leads, introduce yourselves to new clients, and create more referrals. It's going to help you stay relevant, add to your persistency with those multiple products, and add value, most importantly, to your client's life with their dental and vision health. So, John, with that, I'm sure some questions I probably missed, but I'll turn it back over to you, and thank you very much again for the opportunity.
Yeah, we actually, Chad, have a couple or a number of questions that have popped up. One of which I think you addressed through the presentation, which is how you can find which dentists are in a particular area through the Finder. One of the other questions is, can one person purchase 2 dental programs with themselves for different companies? And wondering about the folks that are high need individuals, how that would come about as a fee-for-service type of policy. I imagine that's possible with different companies, but not with the same company. Your thoughts?
Yeah, correct. Not with the same. We don't permit multiple policies on one policy holder, but that's where, and again, a really good question. We don't coordinate a benefit. So if someone does have another policy, another plan, we see everything as the primary claim when it's submitted to us. Okay.
Another one is, do these plans work with Advantage plans? I can answer that for the part of it, because it's, once as Chad just mentioned, since they don't coordinate coverages, absolutely. This is a way, one of the reasons why we speak to these programs and Ameritas in particular, because they can layer on to whatever coverage is offered by the MA program, and that's why we gave some of those statistics up front. Chad, your thoughts on that?
You hit it. Yep, that's right. Back to the coordinating coverage or benefits, but yes, it will stack up, and we get that one a lot. That does work well with some of those opportunities.
Awesome. I think that's it for now. We might have some another space of questions toward the end, but a little quick wind up here as to why you would want to do business with Ameritas through Premier. And I think that some of the advantages that we can help bring to you as an agent is the fact that we can help you contract easily. One of the things that we recommend to a lot of agents that are looking for multiple carriers is to create an agent profile insurance bay to have a depository of your information on your E&O, on the different questions that you answered the different carriers on, because many of those are similar. Many of them allow you then to do an electronic process in contracting by using this system. Sometimes the carriers, not all carriers participate in this, but we work with those carriers for their own electronic systems to help make contracting as easy as possible. And speaking of E&O, of errors and admissions, we do offer a program through our partners in this area with 360-degree coverage pros, where this is a program you own and it covers you regardless of who your upline is. There are organizations out there that will add you to a blanket policy for a particular carrier or two, but if you don't have every piece of your business with them, you're in a dangerous situation. You need a policy that will cover you for whomever and for whatever in the insurance world, and this does that for you, and it's yours. You own it. Additionally, we help with keeping your license in play with our association through WebCE and the continuing education programs that they offer online. And you have a way of adding to your own benefits as an independent agent through a modified guarantee issue, non-cancelable individual disability income program that has you, the owner, and a participant in the commissions to add to your own benefit package to protect your income. Much as where today's presentation is being recorded, we have a library of past presentations as well that speak to carrier products like today's discussion with Emeritus and their DVH program. We also have programs in there that speak to areas of insurance in general and different marketing tips and techniques to get you in front of different audiences. And they're available for you 24/7, either at our website at premiersmi.com, as is noted here, or through our YouTube channel. We do also offer a number of different electronic tools that can help you in selling these products across the board. Our Medicare Center program has 3 different quote engines in it, 2 that concentrate on Medicare Advantage and PDP programs, 1 that is a life insurance and an ancillary program, and that actually helps you cross-sell as well, all available to you without cost as a contracted agent with Premier, and creates a CRM for you to use as well within this tool. And it includes the tool available from CSG that allows you to quote different areas, but also includes the dental programs, where our partner of today is listed as part of that. And it's really cool because you can go in and cross-sell. If you've been in a Medicare Advantage household, you sold them or you didn't. Or the same thing with the Medicare supplement programs, but particularly with Medicare Advantage programs, there's a cross-sell feature where you can go and identify their current base coverage and speak to adding a dental coverage as well as part of that program. It's a nice way to make certain that you, as one of the questions earlier said, can you layer this on a Medicare Advantage program? Absolutely, and this tool will help you do it. We also put in play a piece on our website to help gather all the information from the different carriers on their different trips and incentive programs and how that helps you qualify also for Premier's agent program, which in the past was a producer's convention and now is cash in your pocket based on what you do in different areas of the insurance world. Medicare Advantage and PDP programs have their max compensation set by the government. And since most of the programs are paying out at that max amount, they don't qualify for these incentives. But partners like Emeritus will kick out information, as do different med sup carriers, to help you in other areas as well to qualify for these monies. We do help with a number of programs on how to market through cold calls, community-based programs, carrier activities, community activities, door knocking when appropriate or compliant, social media and direct mail campaigns. And a lot of these do in the past have a need for a presence in the community physically. But we have different programs that help you take that same marketing experience and make it a virtual experience and work through it. Because when you look at these different lead programs, our direct mail support is based on production, deeply discounts the cost of a regular mailer or singular mailer through production. And we have different programs with vetted vendors to help you in this area as well. You go through one of these, that discount will apply based on your production. There's a program set up for the Medicare and ancillary world, and there's another one for final expense. So you could actually qualify twice in the same month for a lead program. And we do also have other programs here that help you basically Well, if the total expense of a direct mail program doesn't fit in your budget, but you'd like to have people to visit with, obviously, we have programs that will actually enable you to access return to direct mail through 2 different programs, and enables you to get on a direct mail system regularly, either through the returns or through direction of your own program, because that's like an exercise program. Do it consistently, it'll help. Do it once, you just get a little bit of pain. We do have Facebook lead programs available also for final expense and Medicare, and it's all a means for us to help you help your own business, because we want that business and we're asking you for it. And as you have seen the value of a DVH program, particularly with Emeritus, as part of your personal marketing program, we have that as part of our Planning Past AEP presentation we're doing at the end of the month. It also gives you the opportunity to take advantage of that now and move forward with it, because that gives you the ability to create additional revenue streams, cover the needs of your prospects and clients, all done with a reputable carrier that's a leader in their field. That's why we're happy to partner with Emeritus. You can reach any of us at Premier through our toll-free number, 1-800-365-8208. You will be receiving follow-up information, as I mentioned before, including a link to the recording of today's presentation, and we'll be reaching out to see how we can help you in this area. You can also get additional detail on our website at premiersmi.com. To check one more time for additional questions. Yes, you will receive a copy of the training. That's the last question that was added. So until we get the opportunity to visit with you again, I want to thank Chad for coming on the presentation, but I want to thank you as a participant to come on as well. We realize time is your most valuable asset, and we appreciate you spending time with us as you have today. We also want to thank you for your business if you worked with us in the past. Truly appreciated, and we look forward to continuing and improving on those relationships as well. All said, until we chat again, we wish you good selling. Thanks so much, and we're going to talk with you soon. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.